Good morning. So glad to have you with me. Give me a call, 303-696-1971. All right, let's start off with this one. If you look at the Denver Gazette this morning, and I don't know why I'm so drawn to this story. I just love it. It's the vandalism to Tesla dealerships and to Teslas. It's somehow enjoyable, and I don't mean that the wrong way. I don't mean like it's enjoyable to watch violence happening or vandalism happening. It's just so great to watch the temper tantrum. Loveland police arrested another person in connection with a series of attempted arsons and vandalisms at a Tesla dealership. They arrested 23-year-old Cooper Joe Frederick. Now, that's a good name. That's almost a stripper name. On suspicion of second-degree arson, usage and possession of explosives or incendiary devices, including a felony, criminal mischief, and criminal attempt to commit a felony. How cool is this? Now, this is the same dealership that the press had to trip over itself when a woman named Lucy Grace Nelson, 40 years old, kept spraying swastikas on it and trying to light it on fire. And if you remember the stories, they would talk about the woman who did this, and then they'd show her picture. The problem is, she's a dude. I mean, she's just plainly a dude. And so they kept calling her she, and now I'm trying to find the word she, because they made the mistake of putting his picture there. Police arrested 40-year-old Lucy Grace Nelson. The Department of Justice said Nelson, also known as Justin Thomas Nelson. They're really dancing around the fact that this guy's transgender. Police confronted Nelson, notice no pronouns, at the dealership on February 24th, where evidence of gasoline, empty bottles, and other items were found in the suspect's car. They've now attempted 5 arsons. 5 arsons. Arson would be a good first name for a boy, wouldn't it? Sounds like Aaron. Arson. Anyway, she had red spray paint, and across the windshield of Cybertruck she wrote, Nazi cars. I just love the meltdown. I just love the freak out. I just love how it's so delightfully temper tantrumish. That's the best part of the whole thing. The best part of the whole thing is how they just can't do this. So what's wonderful is my lovely son wants to FaceTime with somebody. So could you talk to him for a second? Poor Kelly Michaels. He's got to answer a call from my son. So my son has Down syndrome, and ever since he's had a phone, he FaceTimes me in the morning at the weirdest times. So, and usually it manages to happen during commercial breaks, but no, on occasion it happens here. Sorry, real life keeps intruding. All right. Give me a call, 303-696-1971. It's great having a 20-year-old son who's basically 5. He's all that joy packed into one little package. He is John Belushi from Animal House. He is just crazy, and how to put it? He's pure id. Could you imagine just saying whatever you wanted when you wanted? Whatever you're doing, he just loves it. He is like the ultimate Buddhist. He is always in the moment, which also means he's nothing but trouble. Could you imagine having John Belushi as your roommate? I got the worst roommate ever. And the coolest one. All right, 303-696-1971. All right, getting back to the temper tantrums at Tesla dealerships. What I love about this, particularly that I live in Boulder, where Teslas are omnipresent, absolutely omnipresent. And now he's got the whole staff talking to him. Where Teslas are omnipresent. And so for so long, Elon Musk was the hero of the left. This was the guy who was going to electrify the infrastructure. He was going to send people to Mars to save humanity. He had cars that were wonderfully environmental and cool and hip and wildly expensive, just like Boulder. And then in the course of one election, these Tesla owners who were virtue signaling every time they drove, now are driving things that make money for the guy they hate the second most in the world. When you have trans guys spraying swastikas on your Cybertruck that you just spent $120,000 for, what does it do to your ego that you were such a hip, cool, enviro, life-saving guy, and now you're in the Hitler-mobile? This is the most enjoyable part of it. Now, I went the other way. I bought a Nissan Leaf. Why? Because of all the tax breaks that are given for it. I wanted to make the point that these things are being given away. So now I'm driving a stupid little Nissan Leaf. How effeminate is it? Well, my daughter named the car Summer's Eve. That's how effeminate this car is. So I got a license plate that says gas car. A personalized license, it says gas car. And a bumper sticker that reads, EVs are powered by fossil fuel and your taxes. So I love watching people walk by the car and look at it with disgust, because just a moment ago, a Tesla was cool, and until they got forced the fact that Teslas and every electric car is run on fossil fuel. 2/3 of Colorado's electricity comes from coal or natural gas. That's that. That's that. So what I love about the takedown of electric cars is that if you are driving an electric car, you're using fossil fuels and you're supporting Elon Musk. Could there be anything better? So here's my question to you. Are you now tempted to follow Donald Trump and buy a Tesla? Are you tempted, in support for Elon Musk, to buy one of his cars? I'm curious. Now, there's some advantages. I've been driving around in this goofy little Leaf, and it's speedy, and it's quiet, and all the rest. And if you're just driving around town, it's fine. But if you're going to the Springs and back, you probably don't want to use it. So it makes the perfect second car. Nobody, and I mean nobody, figuratively, has an electric car as their only car. They all have it as a second car, because if you don't have it on the second car, well, then you're stuck. You're limited. You can't go. I love when Tesla owners say, "Oh, my car's so fast, I'll race you anywhere." My response is, "Great. I'll race you to Chicago." You win. All right, 303-696-1971. Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if conservatives and Trumpies started buying Teslas? What would that do to those with TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome? What would happen? What would they do? They'd melt down even more. And that would be worth it. That would absolutely be worth it. Just a little something to think about. Have you seen the bumper stickers that people are putting on their Teslas now? Because virtue signaling is all the left does. Where they say, "I bought this car before I knew he was crazy." Before I knew he was crazy. It's amazing how early Pete Boyles gets in. I don't know why. Insomnia is a terrible thing. So they've got these cars. Let me see if I can squeeze Jay in here real fast before we go to a break. Hey, Jay, welcome and good morning.
Oh, welcome and good morning to you guys. Hey, it's almost like a prosperity. It's no different than when we were in second grade, It's anything that you build, it doesn't matter. It's a jealousy thing almost, because if you do something better than somebody else, then they try to attack you because you've done something better than they could do it. It doesn't matter if it's basketball, farming, I'm a farmer, whatever have you, so truck driver, whatever have you. But if you do something more efficiently and better than somebody else, they come after you because I'm asking a question. Why do those people that have not prospered in their own life, if they have not prospered and created anything in their own life, they're the ones attacking us that have prospered and have built things? That's my question. Why do they do that?
Because there's two different mindsets. One mindset is based on merit. The other one is based on equality. And those social justice warriors believe the job of government is to make everything equal in the way they think things should be equal. That's what the left does. I spent a lot of time asking that very same question. I got to run. Thanks for the call. I'm Jon Caldara. Keep it on KNUS. So I always thought the Doors were like this extra level of deep, cool, poetic, brooding, young man anger. And because it's Jim Morrison. And then a buddy of mine gave me a login to see the Doors at Hollywood Bowl. And it was just a well-done film. It showed the full concert. And all I wanted to do was slap Jim Morrison. He looked like he was 17 years old, and he was just such a D-bag. And it was just like, oh, my God, I have turned into the old man. I now just, oh, my God, somebody stop him from gyrating. Just go home, kid. Get a real job. And that's when I knew I was an adult. All right, 303-696-1971. Will you buy a Tesla? Tesla sales are plummeting. Why? Because Tesla's stock and trade is people who like to virtue signal. Now, I am fascinated by why the left loves to virtue signal. I'm fascinated why they feel it necessary to put out stickers on their cans that say, "We recycle." Or my favorite all over Boulder, "In this home, we believe love is love. Science is real. Black lives matter." They cannot stop emoting about themselves. That's why buying a Tesla has been such an incredible thing for these people, because it exudes the elitism, the money, the I care about the future, I care about the environment, I'm part of the solution. So what happens in the span of just a few short months? The guy they idolized, Elon Musk, they're calling a Nazi. And by the way, he's not a Nazi. Good God. It is odd how they see fascism everywhere. If you disagree with them on an issue, you're a Nazi. You're a fascist. Why is that? All right, here's how bad it gets. The attempt, I'm reading again from the Gazette, the attempted arsons and vandalisms are among crimes throughout the Denver metro area that apparently target Tesla after Elon Musk became an advisor for President Trump. The Tesla dealership in Littleton on South Broadway saw 2 Cybertrucks vandalized on March 8th during a protest, according to the Littleton police. In a similar set of incidents, The Kitchen restaurant on Pearl Street in Boulder has received 2 called-in bomb threats. What has that got to do with anything? Kimball Musk, Elon Musk's brother, is a co-owner of that restaurant. Boulder police were first called to the restaurant for a bomb threat on January 23rd. They were then out there again on the 12th of March. No arrests made. Authorities have tracked crimes directed at Tesla across the country. On January 20th, a man allegedly threw a Molotov cocktail at a dealership in Salem, Oregon. Again, Salem, Oregon, very much like Boulder. Elitism. Bunch of white guys who know how the world should be run. The Salem dealership was struck again, this time with bullets. A man allegedly shot at the dealership, breaking windows. He was later arrested. Between March 2nd and Thursday, multiple dealerships throughout the country were either vandalized or struck with incendiary devices in Maryland, Massachusetts, South Carolina, Oregon, Washington, all according to the AP. Most recent occurred on Thursday when a suspect allegedly fired shots at a dealership in Tigard, Oregon, for the second time in a week. To counter this, Trump buys a Tesla. I'm not even too sure when the last time he drove a car is, but he buys a Tesla. Are you tempted to buy a Tesla? Are you tempted to support Elon Musk? Now, I'm in love with this guy. He is shaking things up. He's going to make huge mistakes, and his autism will get the better of him, because you can tell he's not what you call really empathetic character. He's going to overstep, and it's going to make some problems. Got it. But I just love what this guy is trying to do. Big, bold innovation in government. So what I love the most, up in Boulder, they had the protests over the NOAA layoffs. That's the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. And they're all carrying these drippy little smug signs. Science is real. Trust science. And it's a wonderful, absolutely spectacular way of having a red herring. This is just a false dichotomy. They don't want to get laid off, but they don't want to address waste in government. They don't want to address, can they do their job more effectively, more efficiently? Instead, if you question, think about this, if you question, can the job of, in this case, meteorology, be done less expensively? Well, if you ask that question, you hate science. You hate science. This is a junior high school arguing technique. Yeah, you hate science because you want to save some money. I got two responses for that. The first one is, how many of the people here who say believe in science, about all these protesters, how many of them believe there are more than two genders? Just out of curiosity. It's hard for me to believe you're scientists and you, quote, trust science when you won't stand up and say, no, there's XX and there's XY, and that's pretty much it. And that's the science. The rest is sociology or psychology. But the science is there are not more than two sexes. So you don't believe in science. Don't lecture me about science. And my second one is, what's the science of the budget? What's the science of being paid with money your great-grandchildren haven't yet earned? When we have deficits that are 120% of GDP, what is the science of going further into debt to keep your absorbent bureaucratic lifestyle alive? I wonder if any of these people who are claiming, oh, no, science is science, trust science, which really is code for don't lay me off, do any of them realize that their work, their jobs, the regulations, bureaucracy, laws and rules that they've propagated, do any of them realize that they are the reason people get laid off all the time? In the real world, you lose your job. In the real world, there's reorganization. There's layoffs. For those who do talk radio, you know what it's like. Some guy in New York has a bad hot dog, and your radio station turns from talk radio to country, and everyone gets laid off. Everyone has been laid off. Everyone has lost their job. But yet, These people are so isolated, so very insulated from reality, they have no idea what the rest of us go through. They create the rules and regulations that put us out of business, but when they lose their job, they have temper tantrums. Could it be that these layoffs are the adulting experience these bureaucrats need? Is it time for them to grow up? Give me your thoughts on this one. 303-696-1971. Hey, at the beginning of next hour, I'm going to sit down with a colleague of mine, Amy Cook, for what has been a remarkable victory in Colorado politics. No, not in people, but in policy. She has helped shepherd through a law that will make nuclear power possible in Colorado. It is a massive win for anyone who pays an electric bill. That's going to be coming up at the beginning of next hour. You don't want to miss that. Be right here. Let me switch gears real quickly. Weiser has raised $1.5 million. Colorado gubernatorial candidate Phil Weiser, Democrat. The state's term-limited AG has raised more than $1.5 million from more than 4,000 individuals. This puts him ahead of everyone else. This is impressive. That total is more than any non-self-funding candidate for governor has raised in an entire year. Weiser's campaign noted that getting this much the only person who got this much was Mike Johnson, who lost the gubernatorial primary 4 years ago. All right, so here's what's happening. The fight for the governorship happens now. Phil Weiser looks like he's in the driver's seat. But wait a second. There are others. Joe Neguse has reportedly been thinking about becoming governor. He would be a very attractive candidate in this state. Then you have rumors of folks like Jason Crow, perhaps. And then the granddaddy, Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett, who I'm certain played Thurston Howell III in Gilligan's Island, is also thinking about running. Now, these things scare me. And of course, Jenna Griswold wants to be governor. How does this all shake out? Phil Weiser was very shrewd in jumping out strong and fast, popping out with as many endorsements as possible, rolling out a lot of money fast, bringing in $1.5 million into his campaign. By the way, nothing compared to the $30 million that Polis spent of his own money to become governor, and then doing it again 4 years later. It's a brilliant bit of politics to jump out quickly and make it show that they've got to run after you. That's not going to stop somebody like Bennett. Bennett has been in office as a United States Senator for now 238 years, meaning he has lots of connections. He's got lots of money and interests. He will have no problem raising the money needed. I wonder, though, do Coloradans know who Michael Bennett is? Everyone says, well, he's a senator, therefore everyone knows him. I disagree. I think when they're in the Senate, nobody knows who they are. I don't even know if people can name all 9 congressmen from Colorado. Is he as well known as Phil Weiser? This is why you got Phil Weiser trying to act like a cyber nanny with a bill that he is sponsoring in the state legislature to have government age verify all the kids who go on social media. It has nothing to do with saving kids. It's about becoming governor. Who would you vote for at this point? And I want an answer. Are you going to buy a Tesla? Do you want to buy a Tesla? Is it now cool since Trump has one? 303-696-1971. I'm Jon Caldara. Keep it right here. You're on 710 KNUS. Lizard King. Yeah. But really, he's just a twerp. You can't watch. There's a filming of The Doors at the Hollywood Bowl. Watch it, and say, "Oh my God, I want to slap this kid. Go get a job. Go get a real job." Hey, I'm Jon Caldara. Give me a call, 303-696-1971. Politico, in a showing of its usual bias, Trump calls his opponents scum and lawbreakers in a bellicose speech at the Justice Department. For more than an hour, he delivered an insult-laden speech that shattered the traditional notion of Department of Justice independence. Like it's ever really been independent. So, here's the story. President Trump walked into the Department of Justice and labeled his courtroom opponents scum, judges corrupt, and the prosecutors who investigate him deranged. Get the symbolism here. People are into this symbolism. With the DOJ logo directly behind him, Trump called for his political opponents, called them lawbreakers, and said others should be sent to prison. These are bad people. Really bad people, the president said in a rambling speech that went more than an hour. You get it. While condemning officials who directed the military's withdrawal from Afghanistan, repeating his false claims about the 2020 election being stolen, Trump said, "The people who did this to us should go to jail." Here's the whole point. The left takes Trump seriously. They take him literally. They take him literally. They never take him seriously. The rest of us take him seriously, but not literally. This is a perfect story about this. So the left is going to scream, look, he's a tyrant. He's going to use the DOJ to go after his opponents, blah, 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 blah. It's like, you stop taking him literally. Find the kernel of truth in the image the guy's trying to speak. Let's get to the phones. Let's go to Littleton, talk to Bill. Bill, good morning. You're with Caldara.
I want to tell you a couple of Doors stories when they were in town here.
Did you see them?
Yes, I saw them twice.
You saw the Doors in Denver?
Yes.
What would that be, 1968, 69?
Yeah, 68 was at the Family Dog. And they were, and the warm-up band was, Almond Joy, which later turned into Greg Almond's band.
You know, there's a local guy made a documentary about the Family Dog. The Family Dog was a where was it? It was a club here in Denver that had all these great acts.
1601 West Evans.
Wow.
That's where PT's is.
You're kidding.
Fact, there's a monument sticker up on the wall that says that Morrison played here.
So is it the same building that is now a strip club, used to be the Family Dog? So if we want to honor the late memory of Jim Morrison, we should probably go to PT's to find that sticker and spend some time there, maybe reminiscing about. I tell you what, that's what I'll be doing after the show. If anybody wants to meet me there at PT's, we can do that.
Oh,
I mean,
sweet.
for the Doors, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, tell you a little side story. That was the time that Barry Fay said Jim Morrison found a 55-gallon drum of floor wax on the side of the stage. He put his head in it, got up, and he said, "Okay, I'm going on."
You think that's real?
Yeah, it's from Barry Fay's book, and I talked to him about it.
Oh, I knew Barry Fay. What a character. For those who don't know, he was the promoter who brought in everybody back in the day. So tell me, how were the Doors?
Superb. It was. I remember it being real hot in there. It only holds about like 350 people. Really hot in there. And the second time I saw him was at the DU, which was then Magnus Arena. Before the first band was the people that did Green Eyed Lady. I can't think of the name. Jerry Corbetta, and I can't think of the name of the
Sugarloaf.
band.
Was it Sugarloaf?
Sugarloaf. They were the warm up, and the Doors came on. Before Morrison gets on the stage, he belches into the microphone. He says, "I'm not going on until I get a 6-pack of beer."
He said, that's what I meant. When I watched this concert, I just wanted to slap this guy. He just came across as a spoiled, self-indulgent, brooding teenager, which I'm sure if I was watching him in the day, I would have loved. But as an old man now, I'm like, oh, good God. Go get a job bagging groceries and learn some respect, young man.
I have Jimi Hendrix stories, too. I don't know if you want to hear those.
Did you see Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah, 3 times here.
Oh, my God. Where?
See, the first time was at 1968 at, Regis College. It was Valentine's Day. The warm-up band was a band called Soft Machine.
I've heard that name.
And I remember,
wait a minute. Regis College. The Jesuit college hosted Jimi Hendrix. There's just something beautiful about that.
There's a placard on the wall, too, of that event. If you go into the gym there.
Oh, awesome. How very awesome.
Second time was, let's see, I got to think here, Red Rocks with Vanilla Fudge, and I think Freddie Henchy played with them.
I've done lights for Freddie Henchy way back in the day. I didn't know that Jimi Hendrix played Red Rocks.
Yes.
I bet he had a hard time selling it out.
I can't remember. It's Labor Day of 68.
You know that when the Beatles came to Red Rocks, it was the only concert they gave in that tour that did not sell out.
That's right. I remember that. The tickets were $6.60 for the seat tax, they called it back then.
Right. And it was just an outrageously high price.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I didn't go when I was a young stripling.
I did the inflation adjustment to that when I was arguing with my daughter over Taylor Swift being $400 a ticket or something, and it came out to like a $50 ticket today. So it wasn't, would you rather see the Beatles for $50 or Taylor Swift for $400? Yeah, exactly.
And the third time was it was called the Denver Pop Festival, when a bunch of people, 3 days of bands, and that's when people got gassed.
Right.
At that event.
Where was that?
And that was at the old Mile High Stadium.
Oh man, that must have been something. 3 days.
Right after it was at Bear Stadium, then became Mile High.
Right.
That's when they got gassed, and then Three Dog Night, Big Mama Thornton, a band called AUM played. Barry tells a story that was the last concert that Hendrix played with Mitch Mitchell and Noel Redding. In fact, they left the arena, and Mitch Mitchell, Noel Redding told Barry Fay that they couldn't play with Jimi Hendrix anymore, and that was the last time they did. All three of them together.
Denver actually has this kind of weird spot in rock and roll history, in that the Who really got their big start playing at I want to say Mammoth Event Center or something like that.
It was Mammoth. Yeah, that's correct.
And same thing with Led Zeppelin, that Barry Fay did not want to book Led Zeppelin. It was like, but it was one of those, hey, these guys can't make it, but I'm going to give you a deal on this group. And like, what group? We've never heard. No, I don't want to do this. No. And he did it.
I'll tell you the story.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
The story was that Vanilla Fudge was playing with them, and Vanilla Fudge liked Led Zeppelin, and so some reason Barry was going to offer them somewhere around $1,000, so they split the money. So each of them got $500. Vanilla Fudge said this band's going to be up and coming.
Can you imagine paying $500 for Led Zeppelin?
That was at the Denver Coliseum.
We all have those concerts we missed, the ones we should have gone to. I was in college, and I was and I was dating a woman, and this other woman invited me to a $3 show of some unknown, ridiculous band at the Rainbow Music Hall called U2. And I was like, oh, man.
My gosh.
I really want to. I have no idea who U2 is. I'm sure I'd hate them. I've never heard of them. But, man, I'd sure like to make some time with this girl. But I'm dating this other girl, and I did the right thing, and I didn't see U2 for $3.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, exactly.
You want to hear a quick Keith Moon story?
I do, but you're going to have to save it for the next time we talk about this. I've got to run to a break.
Right.
Thank you so much. 303-696-1971. When we get back at the top of the hour, I want to talk about how nuclear energy might be coming to Colorado, and we'll talk to the woman who's making it happen. Keep it here. You're on KNUS. 6 minutes after, welcome. Is it possible to have a victory, for common sense in this blue state of Colorado? Amy Cook, who works with me at the Independence Institute, who's probably the best person I know on energy policy, has been able to do the impossible. Amy, good morning. So glad to have you with us. I appreciate all that you do. Let's start this story off at the very beginning. What is the state of Colorado's energy? Why are my bills so high?
Wow. How long do you have?
I got an hour, but you don't.
I'll do it quick. Yeah, you're right. I'll just do. Colorado has been on a trajectory away from reliable baseload power. In other words, shutting down the stuff that works. In particular, in this state, in Colorado, it's coal, and replacing it with stuff that doesn't work: intermittent power, wind, solar, and natural gas as a backup. Now, we also have some natural gas as baseload, but the point is they're shutting down stuff you've paid for and that is reliable, and they're replacing it with things that are unreliable and you have to pay for. I equate it to you have and this actually will resonate with you. You have an old, let's say Toyota Camry that has
who would have such a thing?
that maybe has 110,000 miles on it. It's paid for, and it runs. It works. Gets you where you need, and it's always reliable every time it starts. And so you're told you can't have that anymore, even though it's paid for and it works. But we're going to replace it with a DeLorean that is expensive and temperamental. And it may work and it may not work, and the arms of the car, the doors may fly open, or maybe they don't, or maybe they fly open in the middle of driving it, or maybe they don't. You just don't know. So, like with wind and solar, you have to buy another car that's a backup to the DeLorean, just in case it does. The DeLorean doesn't work, or it isn't what you need this time.
That's a beautiful way to put it, because whenever we replace a coal plant with wind energy, the wind doesn't blow, so you need to have a backup natural gas generator. So Xcel loves this game because they get to not only sell you the coal plant that you're still paying the mortgage on, you got to buy the wind farm, and you got to buy the extra power plant on natural gas and all the power lines to connect them. And so it's not really about electricity anymore. It's about making money for these power monopolies.
Yeah, 100% true. But and I have no love for Xcel Energy, and I think in the utility world they probably have one of the worst reputations. There are other utilities that are a little bit, they're just more honest and they're straight shooters. But really, the real blame goes to the Colorado State Legislature and governors who have signed these bills. They create the atmosphere that allows Xcel to do that, and they do it because they have they're fully bought into the existential threat of climate. And they're willing to they're willing to fix it for them at any cost. But what they don't realize is, one, it doesn't fix it. We have virtually zero impact on emissions globally. That's number one. Number two, most people, and we found this, are more concerned about not having power. The real existential threat is no power. But the legislature over the last decade has been on this. Actually, it's been since 2000. It's been since Bill Ritter, so that would have been 2007, roughly.
That sounds about right.
Yes, they've been on this trajectory. They've been on this path towards unreliable, intermittent, wildly expensive, does nothing for emissions, virtue signaling that we're all paying for.
you have, and I want to get to the victory that we had yesterday, but you have a mantra. Spock says, "Live long and prosper." Fonzie says, "Cool Mundo." Amy Cook from Independence Institute says, "Buy a generator." You end almost every conversation with this. I think it's your natural greeting. It might be on your epitaph. Why do you feel this need to warn people that there's going to be power interruptions in Colorado, that they need some way to back up their power?
Because there will be.
¿Por
There will
qué?
be.
Why?
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna have it because you're going to have your choice. You either get a backup generator or you live without power for a period of time. Because basically,
because these mandates are not feasible, and they will cause rolling blackouts.
Yeah, because you can't power a grid with wind, solar, and batteries. You just can't. And what's terrifying to me, or to any Coloradan, is that there are people in the state legislature who think you can. And they're the ones, they have been making, they've been making policy over the last, since Bill Ritter was in office with the new energy economy. And if it continues, and I also founded a modeling firm that models cost and reliability, and we've done it in states throughout the country, and we've done it for MISO and for Southwest Power Pool, which are two RTOs, regional transmission organizations. So we've done this in multiple states. We know what we're talking about, and we've modeled Colorado. And if it continues, you are going to be looking at, basically there are times based on historical weather patterns where the state will be without power in some of the coldest times of year. We are moving, based on policy, we are moving to what is known as a winter peaking system, meaning our peak power demand, which right now is in, normally July or August, will move to January or February.
And that's because we're going to be heating our homes with electricity instead of natural gas.
Right.
All right, let me put it this way.
And electric cars.
And tell me if I've got this part right. So a third of our power comes from coal right now. But in 5 years, the law is we can have no coal-generated power, which means we've got 5 years to replace a third of our power that's being generated from coal. And then a third of our power comes from natural gas, but Polis hopes to get rid of all natural gas in 10 years past that. So basically, 2/3 of our power is going to be gone soon, replaced by windmills, by solar power. The math doesn't add up. The only thing that it means is we're going to have rolling blackouts, and people who rely on power, particularly the elderly or the sick who need refrigeration for their drugs or power for their oxygen creators, these people are going to die. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, well, you're not wrong. And as much as I take no pleasure in telling you that you're right, but no, that's 100% true. And then when you layer on top of that the policy that says we're going to have to electrify, meaning electric vehicles and electric heat pumps, as you mentioned.
Electric stoves, electric water heaters. Oh my God, it's the most wasteful way to heat water. Yeah,
I can't tell you how bad it is. And so what'll happen is your prices are gonna skyrocket. Meaning, think about $1,000 a month electric bill, and then in the dead of winter, and then with it, you've paid all that money, and then you still don't have enough power, so you're still going to have rolling blackouts because demand will still exceed the state's ability to power its residents. And what it's planning on relying on, I just want you to think about this. They're relying on importing power from other states. Now, here's the problem with that. If you have an event, a storm in February, chances are it's going to be regional. So you're not going to get power from Wyoming. You're not going to get power from Utah. You're not going to get power from New Mexico. It isn't going to be available for purchase, even if they have a contract. They will cancel those contracts, even if, say, XL or, the co-ops have contracts. Those contracts won't be honored because it goes to the state. The first right of refusal goes to the state where the power is generated. They're not going to let it go.
The administration knows this, and I showed you something that I got. My son, who's on Medicaid because he has Down syndrome, he has things that need to be run on electricity. And the state went out and started giving battery backups to people on Medicaid. Why? Because if their CPAP machines or breathing machines, the refrigerators for their drugs go down, they will die. So now you've got the health department in Colorado giving battery backups to keep Medicaid patients alive because they know there will be rolling blackouts.
I think that is correct, and I've actually shared that with other states, and people their mouths, chins hit the ground. They're like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, this is Colorado. The warning signs are there. The administration knows it.
They know it. There's no other reason they'd be giving out $1,000 battery backups, big, huge batteries to keep your breathing machine alive because they know this is coming. They know their policy will kill people, but in the name of virtue signaling, in the name of looking like if we increase Colorado's environmental output by 1%, somehow China will stop building a new power plant every day out of coal. It's ridiculous.
I compare it to something. It reminds me of something, and that is they're really held hostage by the religion of climate change. And it's this outsized influence of the Sierra Club, the NRDC, Western Resource Advocates, and these are environmental groups that are very active in Colorado and really influential down at the state capitol and other places. I think of it sometimes as, remember in the 90s when media and everybody was saying the outsized influence of focus on the family on the state, and this is a different type of. It's a religion to them. I mean, it is this existential threat of climate.
I need to hold you over one more segment because we just had this wonderful, dire, depressing outlook. You have created an answer that can save Colorado, and it's about to become law. Back after this. 25 minutes after, I'm Jon Caldara. Feel free to give me a call, 303-696-1971. Joining me, of course, is the lovely and talented Amy Cook, who runs the energy policy at Independence Institute, also Always On Energy, which is a great firm that does electric modeling. That means they take a look at what an electric system, a grid is going to do over time. And we just drew a terrible, terrible picture of what's going to happen here in Colorado with the mixture of increased demand for electricity, not to mention what data centers are going to be demanding, and how energy policy here is taking away 2/3 of our reliable energy, both gas and coal. So we're hosed. There is nothing that can save us, nothing at all, until Amy Cook said, wait a second, there is one thing. What is that one thing?
Well, I began writing about this back in 2014, that because you could see where the state was going. And we have to have nuclear. 28 states across the country have nuclear. It's clean, reliable, safe, and less expensive than wind, solar, and batteries. It is a workhorse. I mean, it is a beast in the hottest and the coldest of weather, in all weather extremes. It's always there, and it's always on. It's got the highest capacity rating, meaning it is the most reliable at roughly 93% of the time it is generating power. The other 7% it's maintenance and other things. Compare that to solar, which on a good, solar's anywhere from about 17 to, on a good day, it's at 30%. Wind can get up to 38% or so.
And when you think about it, solar, even if it works perfectly and spectacularly 100%, it will only give you power for half the day. When the sun goes off, as